First of all, nice one, Joe. Thanks for coming on, mate. Massively appreciated. I guess my first question to you, which I think that you kind of discussed on your podcast already, is what have you made of Burnley's start to this season?
Well, after 8 games, first of all, let's just go back to last season. Like, we blew the Championship away, and I came into this season pretty confident that we would be okay in terms of a relegation battle. But after 8 games, I expected us to be not in the situation that we're in, where we've only won 1 game, and we've been battered on like 3 occasions. So I didn't expect us to be in this position after 8 games. But when you look at the teams that we've played, I think you can look at that and think, yeah, fair enough. I understand why we're in that position. So yeah, it's been a slow start and it's been a tough start. And a harsh reality to the new lads, because yes, Burnley have been in the Premier League before, and the fans are wise to it, and and what it takes to survive in there. But a lot of these players aren't; they're all young lads. So I think a lot, as is Vincent Kompany in terms of a manager, he's a young manager. So I think a lot of the young lads are learning the trade. So it's been a bit of a awakening with the starts of the season that we've had. But I'm beating this drum of let's just all stop panicking. And remember that we've played, Tottenham, who are currently top or joint top, Man City, who are Man City, Villa, who have started very well this season, Chelsea, who admittedly have been poor, but they've still got good players. Same with Man United, and teams like that. So, within the greatest of respects, we've got now 4 games where it's more teams that are going to be in and around us, and you can judge us on that. So that's my thing, like judge us after Brentford, Bournemouth, Palace and Everton, you know what I mean? Then we've played 2 teams that are probably going to be in and around us this season, in Luton and Forest, both away from home, got 4 points out of them. So I still think we'll be okay. I just might have reined it in a little bit with the confidence.
Yeah, no, I think definitely with that, I was kind of doing some prep before this, looking at the fixtures. I didn't realise quite how bad you've actually had the start of the season in terms of whoever made that fixture list really must not be a Burnley fan, considering
had it in for us, mate.
I know.
100% had it in for us.
I know. We've talked about it on our last podcast. It's a pretty big game for us, considering our kind of start to the season. As I imagine it will be for you. You kind of just mentioned it with these next three games you've got. Should we lose on Saturday, kind of puts us right amongst it in terms of the early season kind of backmarkers. Is there a feeling amongst Burnley fans that this is a fairly big game, considering from both of our perspectives, if we want to kind of stay in this league, these are the kind of games that you want to be taking points from?
100%, and I don't mean it with any disrespect to Brentford, but it's not a case of we should be beating Brentford, because of course we know we have no right to beat Brentford. Brentford are in the 3rd season in the Premier League now. He did very well last season, and I looked at Brentford at the start of the season and thought Brentford are a safe pair of hands. They'll probably finish somewhere between 9th and 12th, something like that. You start to the season, obviously you've had to adapt to life without Ivan. You've got a few injuries, so I think that's part of the reason why you've had a slower start. I think you've got 3 points more than us, but that's from 3 draws. So I think you're a little bit more difficult to beat, but you've only won 1 match. I do think you'll be in and around, not the relegation battle, but always sort of like, Brentford could be dragged into it, but then you won't do. Yeah, we are looking at it as a big game, looking at it as the next 3 or 4. We've got Everton as well, but that's in the Carabao Cup. But we've got yourselves, Bournemouth, Everton, and then Palace. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that we come away from 4 wins with that. And if we do, things are going to look a lot brighter. My only concern is the next 2, well, the next 3 if you include the Everton one. They're all away from home, so I would have liked just one of them to be at home. Because at that point, then after the Bournemouth game, yes, we'll have played some more teams in and around us, but every single team would have played that's going to be in and around us at the end of the season, or teams that we think will be, have all been away from home. Forest, Luton, then Brentford and Bournemouth. So again, it's not still going to be difficult, because that's what I keep saying. The sentence I keep using is it's difficult to gauge where we're at with the teams that we've played. It's still going to be a little bit difficult because of the teams that are in and around us we've played away from home, but we got a point at Forest. We won at Luton. Struggled to win at Luton, admittedly, with that second half. But over the course of the game, I do think we were the better side. But yeah, we're looking at this one and the next few as important. And I've said to a lot of Burnley fans, right, let's not panic. Judge us after that Palace game and see where we're at. Judge us at the end of November. Then we'll have a clearer picture of where we are.
I mean, I think the clear picture is already kind of there. You kind of mentioned it already, how you've played Forest and Luton both away from home, and you got 4 points from those games.
Yeah.
Having said that, are Burnley fans kind of coming into this game with any more confidence, knowing you've got that record? I mean, to be honest, we've spoken about it on our podcast. I'm weirdly, and I never thought I'd say this, but weirdly, I'm expecting Burnley to come to Brentford and have most of the ball and have us under the cosh for a lot of the game. I'm really not that confident going into this one. I'm sure most of my mates aren't either, considering our recent form. But are you? Is the sort of, because you're off the back of that negative result against Chelsea, is there any kind of confidence going into this game thinking, do you know what, we can roll them over?
You know what, I am quietly confident it will at the very minimum be a close game, and by close game I don't mean 0-0, 1-0, something like that. I mean two teams going at each other that will be of similar qualities. My worry is you're good at creating chances and you've got some good forwards, so if you carry on in that vein you may hurt us because our defence hasn't been great. But in terms of confidence among the fans, I think at the minute most of the fans it's actually quite low, because it's, you know, we've got into the season thinking, I mean, I went on to other like shows saying at the start of the season like, oh, Burnley will be okay, we'll finish between 11th and 14th. Like I said, I've reined that in a little bit now. But I think a lot of fans were expecting a struggle, but then this start of the season's happened and they're thinking, oh, well, we're definitely going down, you know, Kompany's making mistakes, which he is. But he's an intelligent man, is Vincent Kompany. I think he'll learn from him. I think we'll come good, and I do think we'll stay up. But yeah, I think the confidence among the fans is actually quite low. I'm expecting a good game. I'm expecting two teams of decent quality to go at each other. You said that we'll probably have most of the ball and put you under the cosh a lot. We'll try and have most of the ball. I'm not sure if we'll manage to put you under the cosh a lot. We tend to be at the minute like a 45-minute team. So we'll play very well for 45 minutes. We might be the first half, we might be the second half. I don't know which one it's going to be yet. But Luton, for example, we absolutely battered him in that first half. Battered him. And it should have been 3-4-0 on the balance of play, but we didn't have three clear-cut chances, for example. Luton came out in the second half and just absolutely battered us. And then they got that goal in the 82nd minute. I was thinking, oh, here we go. We're going to end up losing this or drawing it, and then it's going to be another meltdown. But thankfully, we scored again straight away. We have got the quality to hurt you, but I think you've got the quality to hurt us as well. So I think it could be a high-scoring game.
Yeah, so you mentioned Kompany as well. Just more like Burnley, bigger picture. I've watched you a few times this season, and he seems quite reluctant to change the playing style. Obviously, it did so well for you in the Championship last season. Could you envision a situation where things start to turn sour if the points don't come with the way that you're playing? I know Thomas Frank has been quite adept in kind of changing his playing style since Brentford have come up to the Premier League. We kind of either can be a counter-attacking team, whereas this season we've started to have the ball a bit more, but he kind of switches his formation depending on who we're playing. Whereas I think Kompany so far, he's kind of been like, this is what we're going to do, and we're not probably going to change. What would you reckon?
It depends. I'm not sure turning sour. I'm not sure it would turn sour, but there's a few rumblings already of like, oh, this gung-ho football's never going to work in this league and stuff like that. I mean, it's never going to work against City and Chelsea and United and them sort of teams. But we always said at the start of the season is I expect us to get a few batterings, but I expect us to batter some teams as well. So far, 50% of that's been correct. If the other 50% of that does start to come to fruition, then I think it will calm down a little bit. But of course, if we go to the Gtech on Saturday and get turned over 4-1, and then go down to the Vitality the week after and get turned over 3-0, then I can imagine there being a few rumblings. I'm not sure anyone of sound mind will start calling for his head. I would like to think that even if we got relegated, we'd stand by him like we did with Dyche all them years ago, because I think with clubs like ours, both Burnley and Brentford and some of the other clubs in the league, like your Lutons and your Bournemouths, basically the smaller clubs, you need to have like a long-term vision, and I think Kompany's our long-term vision, and we've brought in a lot of youngsters, as you mentioned earlier, a lot of exciting young talent, and a lot of these will sell on for profit, and that's what we need to do. I remember once talking to a Newcastle fan, this is before the takeover, and I was saying like, oh yeah, he's young this lad, but we'll sell him on for profit, and he was like, how are you thinking like that? How are you not thinking he's not good enough now? It's like, you just have to as a smaller club. It's just we can't just like throw millions around. So the signs are there that this is a good long-term project. Hopefully the shorter term results pick up, but I think I think now a lot of fans have gone from, including myself, gone from like 11th to 14th. We'll surprise a few people to, all right, let's just stay up. I'll take 17th right now. But I still think we finished 17th. Looking at the other teams that come up, I know there's been a lot of noise recently about these are the 3 worst teams to ever come up. I think that's a bit harsh when you look at who we've played and who you look at Luton have played. Don't get me wrong, I do think Luton are quite poor, and I do think they'll fall. Sheffield United are dreadful, by the way. But I think we'll be okay. Like I said, judges at the end of November, and especially around Christmas time. And I think we'll have pulled away a little bit from the danger at that point.
Yeah, I think those comments definitely harsh, especially considering how the winning margin you had in the Championship last year. On that comment from the Newcastle fan, it always amazes me the ignorance of top 6 fans when they've got fucking billionaire owners and just say what they want and think it's all right. A couple of players that have caught my eye. This last question for you, Joe. Lyle Foster up top's been really good. I've watched him a couple of times. Also, I watched the Luton game. Amdouni, he looked a proper player. Honestly, in that first half, he should have had a couple of goals if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah.
Are we thinking they're going to start on Saturday? Because I know he didn't start against Chelsea. Amdouni didn't.
Yeah, Foster 100%, unless he's picked up a niggle that I'm not aware of, will start. I'm doing it. Like, yes, he looks a player. He keeps the ball so well, like really well. And I like him in that 10 role, just behind Foster, because we kind of play like a 4-2-3-1 with the 2 holding midfielders, sort of like 4-4 was like a front 4, as I call it, with somebody in the number 10. I'm doing a start of the season in that number 10 and was doing really well in it. Got a goal against Forest. Did really well, but then his form dropped off a little bit, and then we put Sander Berg in that number 10, who looks really good in that number 10 actually, and we've tried Aaron Ramsey in that number 10, who looked brilliant. He's another young exciting player that we've got, and then Company kind of put Amdouni out on the right, or was it on the left? I can't remember, but one of the two, and it just didn't really work for him. It just didn't really work out there, and I think at the minute he's a little bit out of form, although he did get a goal for Switzerland the other night. So it'd be interesting to see what we do with Amdouni. I would suspect my team would personally, I would not put Amdouni in this game just because of how his form's been at the minute. But if I was going to put him in this game, I'd put him in the number 10 role. Don't waste him outright. But yeah, Foster's been brilliant. It's actually weird with Foster. Like he came in January last season, and he didn't look great in the Championship. There were moments where I was like, there's a player there, and I was trying to tell the fans, well, not tell them, I'm not like the voice of the fans, but trying to debate with the fans, like, there's a player there, you can see a player. But a lot of fans were like, I'm not having it, he's useless, he will be useless in Premier League. And I don't know why, but for whatever reason, maybe it's because he's had a pre-season with us, or he spoke, to be fair, to a podcast, a South African podcast in the summer about how he came to Burnley in January. Well, I think he lives in Manchester, about how he came to Burnley and the northwest in January. The weather was cold, all that sort of stuff, and he didn't really like it. He said he felt like he was feeling a bit depressed and stuff like that. So after a summer with Company and stuff like that, and the nice Pennine sunshine and all the hills surrounding Burnley, he's probably thought, what, it's all right, this place, and he's kicked on. Like, he went clean through against Luton, and I don't know what it was, but I was just adamant he was scoring. There was nothing telling me at that moment he wasn't scoring. And if he gets some chances on Saturday, we'll put them in the back of the net. And that's, you mentioned there, Amdouni, that's the difference between the two. Like, yes, Foster's an out-and-out striker, but Amdouni had a couple of chances against Luton. I think he had one against... can't remember whoever we played either side of Luton. I'm not remember exactly off the top of my head, but he missed one there as well. Whereas Foster probably scores all of them. So for me, I'd have Amdouni on the bench. But if he's not on the bench, get him in that 10 role behind Foster, because they do link up very well together.
Right, yeah, no, I think definitely Foster with his goal scoring form might have a bit of fun against us. We're very low on confidence at the moment, and Ethan Pinnock might be out for us, which is not good because he's been one of our star players this season. We've still not got Ben Mee. Still,
I agree with that. I like Pinnock, and if you do hear anything, I asked another Brentford podcaster this earlier today. But if you do hear anything on Pinnock, please let me know. He's in my dream team, and it's a draft team. It's not like I could just chop and change it as I want. Pinnock's in my dream team, so like if Pinnock's injured, I need to know. I might shoehorn Ben Mee in if someone else hasn't got him, but that's one of the reasons why I'm coming down actually on Saturday. It's going to be a good game. It's an entertaining game. My partner's at work, so I've got my little boy in me. I thought, sorry, I might as well go to Brentford, and I want to see Ben Mee. I'm really looking forward to seeing Ben Mee again. I hope he gets he will get a brilliant reception from the Burnley fans, but I hope he's playing. It'll be great to see him again. It's weird, like I kind of hope he is playing because I want to see him, but I kind of hope he isn't because it'd be beneficial for us if he's not on the pitch. But yeah, legend is Ben Mee, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him on Saturday.